everybody. It's Jessica Stone at Stansberry Research. I'm here along with Scott Garliss, the editor of Stansberry Newswire, and we both have just spent the last 3 hours almost watching Fed Chief Jerome Powell and Secretary Mnuchin of the Treasury talk about and update Congress on how all of these lending programs are going in terms of getting the economy back on track. We got some positive assessment from the Fed Chief who said basically that all of this happened sooner than expected.
The economy has entered an important new phase and done so sooner than expected.
So, Scott, it seems like Chair Powell actually was surprised a little bit by how effective the Fed's response has been so far.
Yeah, he basically he's trying to tell everybody the Fed has barely begun to fight. Part of what he put out in the press release prior to this was how little the Fed has spent on its facilities, yet they've had so much success. One of these facilities, the Troubled Asset-Backed Securities Lending Facility, also known as TALF, what he said was they've lent $252 million of $100 billion. And basically they're going to pull back on this facility and keep it in reserve because it's been so effective in tightening up asset-backed security spreads. This means it's keeping credit flowing to businesses and the economy. And that's what's going to be really important, keeping people in jobs and money in their pockets.
He also really expressed some concern about the impacts of unemployment, the way it's sort of been disparately impacting different communities.
We're keeping in mind that more than 20 million Americans have lost their jobs and that the pain has not been evenly spread. The rise in joblessness has been especially severe for lower wage workers, for women, and for African Americans and Hispanics.
One of the more important things to Powell is trying to get back to the pre-COVID levels of employment and making sure that everybody is being brought up in that wave. And he's been disappointed by certain groups have been affected more than others and wants to do everything he can to make sure that equality comes back into the picture.
One way to get there is to get this Main Street program up and running. What are the implications for all of this firepower that's in reserve for that program?
Yeah, so again, everything the Fed's doing is to try to help credit flow easily and get out to businesses and households. And why Main Street lending is so important is because this isn't necessarily going to help out those Wall Street corporate America type businesses. This is going to help out a lot of small businesses in America. And that's going to be really important from an economic standpoint and getting people hired and getting credit flowing and having money spent. That's going to put money back in people's pockets. And that's what's really going to help drive the economy. And again, it's a $600 billion facility and nothing has been spent there yet. The current programs out there are worth $2.3 trillion. So they have a long way they can go. And if I'm an investor, the last thing I want to hear is like, hey, we've spent it all. We can't do anything. The best case scenario is we barely spent a thing. There's a lot more we could do because that way, if things were to take a downturn again, I would feel a lot better about how credit markets are going to react.
Scott, it seemed like there was also a warning there from Chairman Powell about over-reliance on the Fed to pull us out of this economic malaise. He gave sort of a gauntlet to Congress.
We design our facilities to work for broad ranges of businesses and municipalities. We do not target particular firms or industries. Elected officials have the power to tax and spend and to make decisions about where to direct such targeted relief.
This is a message we're hearing from the Fed. We're also hearing it from the European Central Bank. And one way to really think about it is interest rates. So what the Fed has done is they've basically taken interest rates to zero. They can't really go lower. Now, granted, the Fed has a lot of different tools in what it can use through asset purchases, much like what it's doing now, and these private vehicles it's developed. But it can't go it alone. It needs Congress to enact stimulus as well. And that way, everything plays out to the maximum effect. And we're seeing things like we're seeing now where the Fed hasn't used all of its lending capacity, but the economy is responding very positively to this. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde has said the same thing to the European Parliament. She needs them to do things alongside the European Central Bank, and that's what's really going to help lift all ships.
Well, Scott Garliss, thanks so much for that and giving us new insight that we're unlikely to hear or see anywhere else. And if you would like to see much more content just like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.